So in the handouts this week, you received directions to complete a box of deafblindness for a student that you may be working with. And what you want to do is make sure that you go through any records that you have, work with other team members because they may have additional information that you may not, and think about each sense that each sense for your child or your student, and think about what senses are available or maybe partially available, or are not a viable avenue for taking in information. And you're going to go ahead and reflect that visually on the box of deafblindness. And then you want to think about what are the student's strengths. And you'll write those down separately to the side. So again, are there senses that are partially available? What are those? And what are the details about those senses that may be partially available? Is it like Christopher, who is blind, but he is able to take in information visually if it is presented within 8 inches? So including those kinds of notes will help people know how they can present information. Is there additional support, assistive devices or technology to help the student use those senses? Things like glasses, hearing aids. And then you will reflect that on the box of deafblindness, which you have a copy of this in the handouts this week. Here's an example from Dylan's box. So his mom included a little antenna coming out from the top of the box to reflect that he has cerebral visual impairment, meaning that it's brain-based. In addition, he also has colobomas, so something that's affecting the structures of his eyes. So she's indicated that by making note of that within the pictures of the eyes. And then to the right of the box, you'll notice that she has noted that he has limited vision. He has peripheral vision in his right eye and central vision in his left eye. They're unsure about his sense of smell, so they're not going to use that as a way to provide information to Dylan. So they've crossed that off. Hearing is not a good way to present information to Dylan. And then you'll notice on the right that there are Dylan's strengths. Touch, movement, and vibration are great ways to provide information to Dylan. We've included a couple of other examples. So this is Christopher, who you've seen a couple of videos of now. So he's got lines through the eyes, with a note that he does see at 8 inches or closer. His ears have a line through them to note that he has a moderate to severe hearing level. There's no indication that his sense of smell or taste are limited, and so there's a note there that he vocalizes. He has edema in his hands and feet, and so people are going to need to know that information that he takes in through his hands or feet might be difficult for him. And a note that he uses a wheelchair and a walker for short distances. And Christopher's strengths are touch and vibration. So as Kathy was saying earlier, including activities that included movement and touch, using that baton to do row, row, row your boat. So he has touch and movement involved in his educational routines. Here's a box of deafblindness for another student, Riken, with a note that he has frequent seizures. So people are going to need to be aware of that. That's going to impact his sensory use. He has cerebral visual impairment. And so again, they've drawn the little antennae on top of the box. He has auditory neuropathy. And there are notes there about where his hearing is when he has his hearing aids in and when he doesn't. He uses his feet to explore. And if they are going to present information to his hands, his left side is more accepting of that type of information, of tactile information. And touch is a strength for him. So the team is going to want to make sure that they're including lots of activities that incorporate touch.